theme that you see in life, right? Like it's the same thing. Like you see, oh, I'm not good at public speaking. I'm not good at blah, blah, blah. I'm not good at talking to people, relationships. And instead of shying away from it and just doing things that have worked for you but are not taking you to the next level, do the stuff that you're not good at. Like that should be like a big part of your training like regimen. It's like face it. That's your opportunity to face it.
Yeah, and maybe actually, you even in you saying that, I just got this idea that the way that bodybuilding can relate to it is like you face that thing that you're not good at, but you can also do it with a simpler piece of it, right? So if you're not good at public speaking and you need to face that, like maybe the answer, if you're like I'm afraid of heights, I'm going to go skydiving type of conqueror, then maybe you join what's the club that does public speaking? Toastmasters. Yeah, maybe you join Toastmasters, but if not, like maybe you speak a little loudly at the dinner table in front of like family gatherings, you know, like it could be like if your weakest link on your body is going to be lateral raises, well, maybe you peel off some leaning lateral raises, leaning from a pole, and like you kind of just like peel off a little bit of it, but you know what? You can feel it working. You can feel it getting better. You're facing that thing you suck at. You're kind of filling the pothole, but it doesn't have to be jump into a whole day of shoulders. Yeah. And that's also the other, I think, myth is that, which has really been dispelled all across the board, right? This whole like trash it once a week and then don't revisit it, like. Yeah. I'm in my sessions, like I'm hitting pretty much everything with one exercise or maybe like two exercises on a chest and then, maybe one on a try or something, just kind of getting it in, hitting it, coming back. But I mean, I'm hitting it frequently. I'm hitting everything on my upper body probably 3 times a week. And, starting to throw in calves, which I haven't done in I don't know how many years, which is reflected in my giraffe-like legs. I started to feel like as I've been hurt that I've been joking with Lauren. I was like, how does it feel living with a giraffe with the upper body of a hippo? And I've just been feeling like a giraffe hippo. And, just putting some mass on my legs has been nice. And starting to trap bar deadlift was nice. And, just kind of doing the things that I could do and carving out my body a little better again and putting some muscle on. So it's actually really nice.
Yeah. I think that it's important, like you were saying, though, is looking at the pieces and being able to pick which piece you want to work on. And understanding that, like, you don't have to smash everything at once, like you were saying.
You don't have to obsess over it.
Exactly. And the other thing I do want to mention is that people want to look good, just not for themselves, but in front of people. Like, that's a big thing, right? Yeah. So what I'm noticing in classes, I'll watch for it. I'll observe it. Like, oh, this guy's trying to look good for this girl. This girl's trying to look good for, like, everyone else in the class, or competing with the other girl. And so I have to sometimes stop the whole class. Be like, guys, stop. Let's just stop what you're doing. I know what's happening. It's not what it's about. Like, focus on what you are, quote unquote, weak at right now, and just face it. Go for it. Optimize every cue. Make it obnoxious. Make your breath obnoxious. Make your squeeze obnoxious. Make everything just like 100% over the top. That's it. Triage them if you have to. Triage your cues. Make the first two most important. And I think it's hard for people to go meditative and go internal and go inside. It's very easy to look outside of themselves. Like, oh, look at this person who's doing it better than I am. Like, well, I'm just going to go harder because I can, match what this person is doing. It's so funny, It's funny to watch human behavior. And I've seen myself do it too, like amongst some of my friends that are way stronger than I am. And that's really humble myself. Like, chill the fuck out. Just, you're not breathing properly. Stop.
Yeah, totally. So that's been my recent
that's cool though.
Kind of thought process, and as I get older, it's like you start to fill in those sustainable pieces that, like, hey, I don't want to lose the muscle mass that's going to keep me healthy. So it kind of all comes full circle. But oh my God, what was I also? Oh, I saw American Sniper recently. Have you seen that? I
have seen that. I saw it a long time ago.
Oh, well, then I'm way behind the curve. Yeah. But I actually read the book. I read the book when it came out in 2012, and I had no idea that Chris Kyle was murdered in 2013. I didn't know that going in. Mm-hmm. But I was just thinking,
such a crappy way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, he survived the war and everything, but really, one of the things that I was kind of discussing with Lauren, just one of the things that kind of struck me, and what's fascinated me about his particular story, because, you know, he has the most confirmed kills of any sniper in U.S. history, and about the just the mental burden of what that would have played on him, like just the psychological case, right? We talk about world record holders as being people who are existing in a place that no one else can understand, right? Because they're doing things that no one else, like they're going places where no one else has ever been. And they're a fascinating study because they have to deal with stress and pressure and physical or emotional or mental things that other people don't have to handle. And I was thinking with him that, like, not only has he seen all these people die around him, as he watched his friends die right before his face, has he watched horrible atrocities of children being butchered by tyrants, and, you know, but he's also taken all these lives that are going to weigh on him. And it just, I think about just the damage that he had to bear and experience. And I was, I don't know, it's just really reflecting on how we, even in someone who is doing something that no one else has ever done, but how that reflects onto each of us doing something that we've never done. Because every time you set a personal record, you don't know how your body's going to react.
It's true.
Like, if you lift more weight than you've ever lifted before, don't just assume that it's all good in the hood. Like, you've never been there, right? Like, take a step back and, like, you know, make sure that you're not dying tomorrow, and, like, maybe take an extra day off, like a famous sprint coach, Charlie Francis, used to do with his sprinters. Was if they PR'd, he mandated rest for like a number of days. Like, he didn't take that as a springboard into his next thing. What he did was he peeled them back because they were in uncharted territory. And I don't know, I've been trying to think about how to handle some of my mental or emotional uncharted territories when you look at someone who's dealing with that type of horrible uncharted territory of death.
Yeah, that's it's
heavy.
That's heavy stuff, but yeah, that's important. I mean, like, even pure physicality wise, I remember when I was flipping a heavy tire back at Hyde Park Gym here in Austin, I was like, oh yeah, like, I can do this. I got it up the first time. I was like, oh, I can do more. So I knocked out 5. I was like, I can do 5 more. Knocked out 5 more. I can do 5 more. And I kept going. The next day, I felt like my shoulders were so lax, and it felt weird because it felt like kind of not sitting in the capsule properly. And I felt popping and clicking, and I just felt very weak. I felt weak for a week. That's what I did. I felt really weak for a week. And then that's what all started my downward spiral of my shoulders, and I had to really work on bringing them back. But that's a pure testament. You know, just because I lifted the 400-pound tire doesn't mean like anything. It just means that, okay, this is new. It's a new stimulus. How's my body going to adapt? I don't know. It just depends on the resilience of it right now. I don't know. And when you're talking about emotions, I think that's very fascinating, because emotions, they tend to hold in different parts of our body too. Like, when we were actually feeling an emotion, they hold in, you know, your throat. It could be your chest. It could be your stomach. You know, you could have stress-related bowel problems. That's me. That's a big thing. Neck issues, headaches, migraines, just from pure tension in your sternocleidomastoid, your scalenes. Back pain, so much can manifest in different parts of our body. So it's like the emotions expressed in our bodies, and in our bodies, we can express that emotion outwardly as well. So again, it's a feedback loop. But how do you deal with so much at once? And that's crazy. And I think that's why some of the things that we do, like going to the tank and doing sensory deprivation and being able to tease away these layers of who we really are so important. Like life optimization, it becomes a really important thing. Like, all these pieces add up, and they add up over time, and it can be chronic. And what do you want to keep adding to your house? You know, your building. So.
Yeah, isn't it kind of interesting that health is like life is a hobby.
Yeah.
like everything you need to do to live properly and like well and optimally, like, because that's what we're talking about, right? We're not just talking about scraping by. Like, we're talking about a species of people who at a very base level never had to think about this stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, they didn't black out their rooms, like, and, stub their toes on the way to the bathroom. And
we're life hacking.
Right, life hacking and stuff, like, and making it a hobby. Like shopping is, it has to become a hobby for food, to prepare food, working out and getting activity, which is all really fake. Yeah. We're really just creating ways in which to, move and stimulate our bodies, and like we're hacking ways to keep our bedrooms dark, and all these ways, and it's like it's so wild that living isn't a hobby. But I don't know, I guess if you can embrace that and maybe revel in a little more, maybe enjoy it and not like fret about it, maybe you can come to the realization and to the sense of peace that how lucky we are. That we can really ponder happiness and greater relationships and things like that. But I think that being in an emotional place where you've never been before, being in a physical place you've never been before, I think you need to be open to kind of like observe, to be the observer and being like, where am I going to be and what information is this going to give me? Not like over elated or over sad or over anything, right? Because that's a construct of the mind. Like, the mind isn't actually the brain, like, right? Like, they're different. Like, they're totally different. Like, the brain has, like, you have consciousness and you have intellect and you have, different processes, and you have, like, emotion, right? Like, those things all exist, but this concept of the mind is really like a cloudy thing, that it's like it's this cloudy filter that either like you're staring up at the clouds and you either see through them or you don't, and that's kind of like the perspective of your mind. But I think too often we allow places we've never been to be too cloudy. And I don't know, it's just been my personal reflection time, maybe from the movie, and then maybe also kind of taking a new perspective on my own health, that like let's observe it a little better, and not just kind of get overindulged by the ifs or how I feel about it.
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
No, I think that's important. It's a really important point you bring up, because what's I gonna say? Oh yeah. Sometimes I think when people even think about the word meditation, I think you have to solve something or be instantly enlightened.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just gotta observe what you obsess over. Like, sometimes the point of meditation is just to observe.
Yeah.
And life is the meditation. So maybe like a point of life is also just to observe yourself as you go through life, and then be able to pick and choose how you want to live. And that, I mean, it sounds so easy, right? It's like, oh yeah, I can just pick and choose. It's so simple. But I think when you can start to do that more often, I think it's really, really powerful. Even when I used to go to the tank with you, initially I was just like, well, I had this emotion and this was coming up, and does it mean that I'm this way now? Does it mean that I'm not good enough? What does it mean? And instead of like obsessing over it, I was like, okay, this is coming up in me. That's interesting. That's cool. Okay, now the thought of being in space is coming up. Now like interplanetary travel is coming up. This is really weird. Okay, this is interesting. Just observing the weird shit that comes up in your mind is I think it's cool. You can have a conversation about it like this.
Right. But even outside the tank, I mean, you can start to observe yourself in your day and be like, I didn't know I'd do that. Like, I've started observing when I coach. Because my boss Matt is really taking on this mentorship role with me, and about less about it's fascinating, less about how I train and who I am and how I train, and really about like exploring myself personally as a coach, and not just
That's cool.
What you do, because he trusts everything I do, and